All right, guys, let's review representing and interpreting data. All right, so reviewing chapter 2. Let's look at number 1. Mia made a tally table to record the different types of birds she saw at the bird feeder in the garden. All right, so here is our tally table, birds at the feeder. Right here shows us all of the different birds that she saw, and then how many of those birds that she saw. All right, let's look at, and if you want to quickly, before you look at the answers, count the tally marks and write the number out to the side to show how many of those birds she saw, that's a really good idea. And I'll do that real fast. So J, she saw 1, 2, 3, 4 J's. Sparrows, she saw, here's 5, 10, 11, 12 sparrows. Mia, let's see how many finch birds she saw. 5, 6, 7, 8. Blackbird, she saw 5, 6. That'll help us when we're looking at these questions. Now it says for numbers 1A through 1C. Okay, so that means for these problems, 1A, 1B, and 1C, select true or false for each statement, for each sentence, okay? 1A says, Mia saw twice, think of multiplication 2 times, twice as many sparrows as blackbirds. All right, so let me go up to my tally table and let me look. First of all, let's see how many sparrows she saw was 12. S for sparrows. And blackbirds, B for blackbirds, she saw 6 of those. Now think. Again, it says Mia saw twice as many sparrows than blackbirds. That is a true statement because 6 times 2, think of twice, times 2 multiplied by 2 is 12. 1B, Mia saw 8 finches. Let's go up here. Finch, right, is the bird. She saw 8. That is true. And 1C, Mia saw 4 fewer jays than blackbirds. So we're comparing jays to blackbirds. Let me go up here. There, she saw 4 jays. And she saw, let's see, blackbird, she saw 6. Let me subtract that because we know, I'm going to put B next to 6 blackbirds. Mia saw 4 fewer jays than blackbirds. Let's see if this answer is going to be 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. So no, Mia saw 2 fewer. So this statement right here, 1C, is false. Okay, let's look at number 2. Jake asked 25 students in his class how close they lived to school. The frequency table shows the results. All right, here's the frequency table, guys. Remember, frequency tables, they don't use tally marks. They just use the numbers, okay? Now, this is important in the question. Well, the word problem up here, Jake asked 25 students. So that's our total number of students who took this survey. All right, part A says, complete the table and explain. Guys, if it says explain, you have to write a sentence or 2. Explain how you found the answer. All right, so it did say we need to complete the table. As you can see, look at this table. Something is missing. We have to complete it right here. There's no number here, okay? But we can figure this out with the information that we were given. Again, this frequency table shows miles to school, and here are all the students in his class. All right, so look, kids who live about 1 mile to the school, there are 4 boys and 5 girls. Kids who live about 2 miles from the school. We don't know right now how many boys, but we know there are 4 girls. And kids who live about 3 miles close to the school, 3 boys and 2 girls. Now, remember in the problem it said Jake asked 25 students in his class how close they live to school. So what we can do to get our answer, we're going to first add all of the numbers in the table. I'm going to write that because this problem said explain. Add all of the numbers in the table. I'm just going to put that, but we're going to add all of the numbers in the table that represents, well, for boys, I'll write that, for boys and girls. Okay, this is first. First, add all of the numbers in the table for boys and girls. All right, so let's see. All right, about 1 mile, 4 boys, 5 girls, that's 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. Kids who live 2 miles near the school, we know exactly there are 4 girls. We're going to add that in a minute. And then we're going to add the 3 boys plus 2 girls down here that represents the kids who live about 3 miles near the school. 3 plus 2 is 5. Now if I add all of these numbers up, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay? If I take this number, 18, there are 18 students right now who participated in the survey, who are shown in the survey, but we know Jake asked a total of 25 students in his class how close they live to the school. So we're going to take 25, the total amount of students who took this survey, subtract it from 18, and then we will get our answer, okay? We have to regroup because we don't have enough to take 8 away from 5 ones. And 15 minus 8 is 7. 1 minus 1, 10 is 0. You don't have to put 0, but you can if you want. So, boys and girls, this 7 will let us know how many boys live about 2 miles near the school. So I'm going to write 7 here. Okay, so I just completed the table, as you can see, and explained how you found the answer. So after I wrote first, add all of the numbers in the table for boys and girls. And then what did I do? Then subtract the total from 18. Okay? All right, and then part B, how many more, here we go, how many more, I already know we're comparing, we're going to be subtracting. How many more students live about 2 miles or less from the school than students who live about 3 miles from the school? Okay. First of all, let's see, how many more students live about 2 miles? Let's represent that first. All right, kids who live about 2 miles. Let's go up to 2 miles. 7, you gotta add boys and girls, you guys. 7 plus 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 2 miles, there are 11 kids that live 2 miles away. Oop, you can't see that. 2 miles, 11 kids live away from the school. And then the word problem says who live about 2 miles or less. And what is less than 2 miles? What's less than 2? 1 less than 2 is 1 mile. So we have to also add these boys and girls up. 4 plus 5 is 9. So less than a mile. 9 kids who live about 1 mile. Okay, so what we would do here, we would need to add, because the question says how many more students live about 2 miles or less from school. So that's like saying 2 miles or less, so you have to combine those. So we're going to add, because combining means add. 11 plus 9, 9, 10, regroup. That's 20 kids. 20 kids who either live about 1 mile or 2 miles near the school. Now we're going to take that 20 kids, because the second part of the word problem says compare the students who live about 2 miles or less from school than students who live about 3 miles from school. So again, let's see how many students live 3 miles from the school. Here's the chart. 3 miles, so there are 3 boys, 2 girls. 3 plus 2 is 5. So we know that how many more means to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 5 from 20. 20 minus 5 is 15. And look at part B. It said show your work, which I have been showing my work here. And it's okay if your work is not necessarily inside the box, but I am going to write 15 students as our answer in the box. All right, let's look at this picture graph. Use the picture graph for 3 through 6. Students at Barnes School are performing in a play. The picture graph shows the number of tickets each class has sold so far. All right, so here's the picture graph, number of tickets sold. Here are the 3 different classes. Let's look at the key. The key is very important when you are using a picture graph. So each check mark, you guys, stands for 5 tickets. So I am not going to count by ones. I'm counting by 5. So let's look at the question. How many tickets were sold all together? How many tickets were sold all together? All right, explain how you found the total. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count the ticket symbols. I'm going to count all of the ticket symbols. Okay, I'm going to count all of the ticket symbols by 5s of all 3 classes. That's exactly what I'm going to do to get my answer. All right, so we're going to be counting by 5s, all classes, since we need to know how many tickets were sold all together. And each check mark stands for 5 tickets. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. So how many tickets were sold altogether? 100 tickets. All right, let me see. Number 4, choose the name from each box that makes the sentence true. All right, let's look at this one. This is a kind of different question. 5 fewer. Think of fewer. Think of less than. Less than. Think of subtraction. 5 fewer tickets were sold by blank, by one of these students, one of these classes, than, here's that word than, because we're comparing, than one of these classes. All right? So basically 5 fewer tickets were sold by blank than blank. Well, let me see. Think of 5, okay, which class sold 5 fewer tickets? 5 fewer tickets, let me look. Well, each check mark stands for 5 tickets, right? And we want to choose which class sold 5 fewer tickets. Well, I'm going to look at Mrs. Gold's and Miss Castro's class up here. Don't worry about the top, Miss Brown's class. As you can see, Miss Castro's class right here has 1 more check mark than this class, than Mrs. Gold's class, right? But the question says 5 fewer tickets were sold by blank. Well, it's the opposite. If Miss Castro's class sold 5 more, because each check mark stands for 5, right, guys? 5 tickets. That lets us know Miss Gold's class has 5 fewer tickets than Miss Castro's class. Number 5, how many more tickets were sold by Mrs. Brown's class than Mr. Castro's class? All right, so we're comparing Miss Brown's class to Mr. Castro's class. So let's go back up here. So Miss Brown, let me do a star. Miss Brown's class and Mr. Castro down here. How many more? Because as you can see, Miss Brown, look at all those tickets she sold. Look at all those check marks. She has more check marks than Mr. Castro's. We need to know by how many more. Now, as I'm comparing, it looks like Miss Brown has 1, 2, 3 more check marks than Mr. Castro. But the answer is not 3. Each check mark stands for 5 tickets. So 5, 10, 15. So Miss Brown's class has 15 more tickets than Mr. Castro's class. And you can also use a number sentence to solve. How many tickets did Miss Brown's class sell? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So you would say 45 minus the number of tickets Mr. Castro's class sold. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And if you subtract 45 minus 30, you get 15. Okay? Now, this one says, what if Mrs. Gold's class sold 20 more tickets? Oops. 20 more tickets. Draw a picture to show how the graph would change. Well, if we add 20 more tickets to whatever she's showing originally, and we know each check mark stands for 5, we would add 5, 10, 15, 20. Oops, sorry. We would add 4 more check marks because each check mark stands for 5 tickets. So that's what it would look like. All right, let me do a couple more. I know this video is long, but I am reviewing most of those questions that are on your Chapter 2 test. All right, let's look at this bar graph right here. Let's see, number 9 says 3 more students play piano than which other instrument? Well, let's look at these musical instruments. There's a flute, drums, piano, guitar. Okay? 3 more students play piano than which other instrument? That should be the flute. Because look. All right, here's piano. There are 9. 9 is in between 8 and 10. There are 9 students who play piano, and then there are, look to see how many students play the flute. 6. And we know that piano, there's 3 more students than instrument. Because if start with 6 and count up. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 3. And number 10, the same number of students play which 2 instruments? Looks like drums and guitar. Okay, I'm going to stop there for our Chapter 2 review.